Kim Tae-young. This is Detective Lisa Carter with Atlanta PD. The building is surrounded. Release the hostage and come out with your hands up. Tae-young didn't even flinch. His dark eyes stayed locked on Nia, studying her like she was a stranger. Like the past 8 months meant nothing. He spoke in Korean first, his voice low and controlled. Then switched to English, each word precise and cutting. You know what you did. You know why we're here. Nia's voice cracked, tears streaming down her face, mixing with the blood. Please, Tae-young, please. I love you. I didn't have a choice. Didn't have a choice. He repeated the words slowly, like he was tasting them. Testing their validity. He took 3 steps forward, the gun rising with each step until it was level with her face. Everyone has a choice, Nia. You made yours. Baby, please. Don't. The word came out sharp as a blade. Don't call me that. You lost that right. He moved closer, close enough that she could see the vein pulsing in his temple. Close enough to see the barely controlled rage beneath that icy exterior. The barrel of the gun was now inches from her forehead, and she could see his finger resting on the trigger. Not pulling. Just, resting. I gave you everything, he said quietly, and for the first time, she heard emotion creep into his voice. Pain. Raw, bleeding pain. Everything. I protected you when no one else would. I trusted you when I've never trusted anyone. I loved you when I swore I never would. His jaw clenched. And you put a wire on your body and recorded me proposing to you like I was just another case to close. I'm sorry, Nia sobbed, her whole body shaking. I'm so sorry. Sorry. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Just bitterness. You're sorry. Tell me, Nia, when you wore that wire to dinner, when you let me pour my heart out to you, when you said yes to my proposal with that recording device pressed against your skin, were you sorry then? She couldn't answer. Couldn't find words that would make any of this right. The bullhorn blared again. You have 3 minutes to release the hostage. Tae-young's hand was steady. Perfectly steady. A professional. A man who'd done this before. Nia looked into his eyes, those eyes that had looked at her with such tenderness just weeks ago, that had traced her face in the dark, that had watched her sleep, and saw a stranger. Do it, she whispered, her voice breaking. If you're going to do it, just do it. I can't. I can't live with what I did to you. His finger tightened on the trigger. Just slightly. Sang-hoon shifted behind him. Brother. A warning. A reminder. Time stopped. Nia closed her eyes, waiting for the inevitable. I know what you're thinking. How did a waitress from Atlanta end up here, tied to a chair in a warehouse, about to die at the hands of the man she loves? How does someone go from struggling to pay rent to being in love with a Korean mafia boss? How does love turn into this, a gun, tears, and the sound of police sirens? Well, let me take you back. Back to where it all started. Back to the moment Nia Richardson's normal, struggling, barely surviving life ended and something else, something dangerous and beautiful and ultimately tragic, began. Let me show you how love and betrayal are sometimes the same thing. 3 months earlier. Nia's feet were killing her. She'd been on them for 6 hours straight, and she still had another 4 to go before her shift at Chen's Palace ended. Then she'd have exactly 45 minutes to get across town to her night shift at the gas station. 3 jobs. 70 hours a week. And she was still $200 short on rent. Order up. Chen shouted from the kitchen, his heavily accented English barely audible over the dinner rush noise. Nia grabbed the plates, sweet and sour pork, kung pao chicken, fried rice, and weaved through the crowded restaurant. Thursday nights were always busy. Families celebrating nothing in particular, couples on cheap dates, college kids loading up on carbs before the weekend. She delivered the food with her practiced smile, the one that said, "I'm happy to serve you," even though her back was screaming and her bank account was crying. The customers barely looked at her. They never did. She was invisible. Just another black waitress in a Chinese restaurant in a part of Atlanta that tourists never saw. "Can I get you anything else?" she asked automatically. "We're good," the man said, not even glancing up from his phone. Invisible. She cleared tables, took orders, refilled drinks, smiled until her face hurt. The clock on the wall moved with cruel slowness. 8:47 p.m. Another hour and 13 minutes. Her phone buzzed in her apron pocket. She ignored it. Probably Haley asking if she wanted to go out this weekend. As if Nia had time. As if she had money. As if her life was anything other than work, sleep, and more work. It buzzed again. And again. On her break, a generous 10 minutes, she finally checked it. 7 missed calls. All from unknown numbers. Then a text from a number she did recognize. One she'd blocked 6 times. One that still found ways to reach her. "James, I know where you work. We need to talk." Her blood went cold. She'd left James 8 months ago. 8 months of looking over her shoulder, of changing her routes to work, of sleeping with a chair wedged under her doorknob. 8 months of fear that had finally started to fade. And now this. Her hands shook as she typed back, "Leave me alone or I'm calling the police." The response was immediate, "Go ahead. I'm not doing anything illegal. Can't a man talk to his girl? I'm not your girl. Haven't been for 8 months. We'll see about that. Break's over, Nia." Chen called. She shoved her phone back in her pocket, her appetite gone, her hands still trembling. She had an hour left. Just one more hour. Then she'd go to the gas station job, and then she'd go home and triple-check her locks and maybe, she'd finally get some sleep. Just one more hour. But fate, Nia would learn, doesn't care about your plans. At 9:30 p.m., she took the trash out to the dumpster in the alley behind the restaurant. It was something she did every shift, something routine and mindless. The alley was dimly lit, smelling of old grease and rot, lined with dumpsters and boxes. She heaved the bag into the dumpster, wiping her hands on her apron. That's when she heard it. Voices. Speaking Korean. Rapid and tense. Then a sound she'd only heard in movies. A sound that made her blood turn to ice. A gunshot. Muffled, like someone had used a silencer. Then a body hit the ground. Nia froze. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but her legs wouldn't move. She was hidden partially by the dumpster, and the men, 3 of them, hadn't seen her yet. "Clean it up," one of them said. Nia's heart hammered so hard she thought they'd hear it. Slowly, so slowly, she started backing toward the restaurant door. A bottle crunched under her foot. The sound was like a gunshot in the silence. 3 heads snapped toward her. "Shit," one of them shouted. Nia ran. She burst through the back door, slamming it behind her, her mind screaming danger, danger, danger. She ran through the kitchen, ignoring Chen's protests, grabbed her purse from the break room, and ran out the front door into the street. She didn't stop running until she was 3 blocks away, gasping for air, her lungs burning. She'd just witnessed a murder. She'd just seen. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Her hands shook so badly she almost dropped it. Should she answer? Should she call the police? Should she? Against her better judgment, she answered. "Hello." A male voice, speaking perfect English with a slight Korean accent. Calm. Almost pleasant. Nia Richardson. 27 years old. Lives at 2847, Moreland Avenue, Apartment 3B. Works at Chen's Palace, Murphy's gas station, and cleans offices on weekends. Is that correct? Terror flooded through her. Who is this? Someone who knows you saw something you shouldn't have. Someone who knows you're currently standing on the corner of Martin Luther King Jr. Drive and Memorial, trying to decide whether to call the police. He paused. Don't. She spun around, scanning the street. Cars. Street lights. People walking. She didn't see anyone watching her, but that didn't mean they weren't there. What do you want? She whispered. I want you to go home, Nia. I want you to forget what you saw. And tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., I want you to come to this address. He rattled off an address in Buckhead. Come alone. Tell no one. If you call the police, if you tell anyone what you saw, I'll know. And you won't like what happens next. And if I don't come? A pause. Then, almost gently, then I'll come to you. And I promise, you'll prefer the first option. The line went dead. Nia stood there on the street corner, her entire body shaking, and realized her life had just changed forever. She just didn't know how much. Nia didn't sleep that night. She sat on her worn couch in her tiny apartment, staring at the door, jumping at every sound. Part of her wanted to pack a bag and run. Disappear. Change her name. Start over somewhere far away. But she had $200 in her bank account and a tank of gas that was almost empty. You can't run on empty. At 9 a.m., she stood in front of her bathroom mirror, trying to make herself look presentable. Dark circles under her eyes. Hair that needed washing. The same fear in her eyes that had been there since James. She was so tired of being afraid. At 9:45 a.m., she got in her car, a 2008 Honda Civic that made concerning noises when she turned, and drove to Buckhead. The address led her to a restaurant. Not just any restaurant. A high-end Korean barbecue place with a minimalist black exterior and a name in Korean characters she couldn't read. The kind of place where Nia couldn't afford to eat even if she saved for a year. She sat in her car for 10 minutes, hands gripping the steering wheel, debating. She could still leave. She could still go to the police. But the voice on the phone had known everything about her. Everything. Where she lived, where she worked, where she was standing. If she went to the police, what would stop them from? A knock on her window made her jump. A Korean man in an expensive suit stood there. Young, handsome, with sharp eyes that assessed her quickly. Miss Richardson? She nodded, not trusting her voice. Please. Come inside. The boss is waiting. She followed him through the restaurant. It was closed, empty except for staff preparing for lunch service. They walked past the main dining area to a private room in the back. Traditional Korean style, low table, cushioned floor seating, rice paper screens. And sitting at the table, pouring tea like this was a casual meeting, was a man who made Nia's breath catch. Mid-30s, she guessed. Korean, devastatingly handsome in a way that seemed almost unfair. Sharp jawline, dark eyes that held both intelligence and danger, black hair styled perfectly. He wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than 3 months of her rent. But it was the way he carried himself that made her mouth go dry. Power. Authority. The kind of presence that made the air itself feel heavier. Nia Richardson, he said, his English flawless, gesturing to the cushion across from him. Please, sit. She sat awkwardly, not used to floor seating, her legs tucked uncomfortably beneath her. Tea? He asked politely. Who are you? She countered, trying to sound braver than she felt. A slight smile. My name is Kim Tae-young. And you witnessed something last night that has put us both in a difficult position. I didn't see anything. The lie came automatically. Don't insult my intelligence. He poured tea into 2 cups, the movement graceful and practiced. You saw 3 of my men dispose of a problem in the alley behind Chen's palace at approximately 9:30 p.m. You ran. You're terrified. And now you're sitting across from me, wondering if I'm going to kill you. Nia's heart hammered. Are you? That depends entirely on what you do next. He slid a cup of tea toward her. The man you saw killed was a traitor. He was selling information about my organization to a rival group. Information that would have gotten good people killed. So we eliminated the threat. His eyes met hers, dark and unreadable. I don't apologize for that. But I also recognize that you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Collateral damage. So what now? Nia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Now you have two choices. Taeyong took a sip of his tea. Choice 1, you go to the police. You tell them what you saw. They investigate. And within 24 hours, you have a tragic accident. Maybe a hit and run. Maybe a gas leak in your apartment. Maybe you simply disappear. These things happen in Atlanta. Nia's blood turned to ice. Choice 2, he continued calmly, you work for me. What? I own legitimate businesses. This restaurant. 2 others. A nightclub. Several real estate properties. All of them need employees. Accountants, managers, hostesses. He studied her. I looked into you, Nia. You're working on a business management degree. 1 class at a time because that's all you can afford. You're intelligent, hardworking, and desperately need money. I'm offering you a job. A job, she repeated flatly. Doing what? Initially. Hostess here. Eventually, if you prove trustworthy, perhaps management. The pay is $35 an hour. Full benefits. Healthcare. The works. He leaned back slightly. All you have to do is forget what you saw and work for me. Keep your mouth shut, do your job, and live a significantly better life than you're living now. Nia's mind raced. And if I refuse both options? Then we default to option 1. And I really would prefer not to kill you. He said it so casually, like discussing the weather. You have an honest face. I could use more honest faces in my organization. How do I know you won't kill me anyway? Nia challenged. I work for you, and then when you're done with me. Because I don't kill people unnecessarily, Taeyong interrupted. It's inefficient. It draws attention. And it wastes resources. His eyes locked onto hers. If I wanted you dead, Nia, you would have never made it 3 blocks last night. I could have had Sang-hoon, he gestured to the man who'd brought her inside, put a bullet in your head before you even left the alley. The casual way he said it made her stomach turn. But I didn't, he continued. Because I believe in giving people chances. 1 chance. You're currently living that chance. The question is, what will you do with it? Nia looked down at her hands. Hands that were rough from work, nails that she couldn't afford to get done, a watch that had stopped working 2 weeks ago that she couldn't afford to replace. $35 an hour. Healthcare. A chance to finish her degree faster. A chance to stop living paycheck to paycheck. All she had to do was work for a criminal. All she had to do was compromise every moral she'd ever had. All she had to do was survive. If I say yes, she said slowly, I want your word that I'm safe. That you won't hurt me as long as I keep my mouth shut and do my job. You have it, Taeyong said without hesitation. And if I want out? Eventually. Then you give proper notice, and you leave. With the understanding that what you learned while working for me stays confidential. Forever. His voice hardened slightly. Break that confidence, and option 1 comes back into play. Nia took a deep, shaky breath. She thought about her apartment with its broken air conditioning and sketchy locks. She thought about James and his threats. She thought about the 3 jobs that were slowly grinding her into dust. She thought about survival. Okay, she whispered. I'll work for you. Taeyong smiled then, a real smile that transformed his face from dangerous to almost warm. Excellent. Welcome to the organization, Miss Richardson. He extended his hand across the table. She shook it, sealing her fate. One more thing, he added as she started to rise. Your ex-boyfriend. James. He's been harassing you. Nia froze. How did you? I told you. I looked into you. Thoroughly. His expression cooled. Would you like me to handle that problem? Handle it how? She asked carefully. Let's just say James will receive a very clear message that you're now under my protection. And that any further harassment will be poorly received. Part of Nia wanted to say no. To handle James herself, the legal way. But she was so tired. So tired of being afraid. So tired of looking over her shoulder. Yes, she said quietly. Please handle it. Taeyong nodded once. Consider it done. Sang-hoon will take you home. Your first shift starts Monday at 5 p.m. Wear all black. Be on time. As Sang-hoon drove her back to her apartment in a car that probably cost more than her yearly salary, Nia stared out the window and wondered what she'd just agreed to. She'd just made a deal with the devil. She just didn't know yet that she'd fall in love with him too. Monday arrived too quickly. Nia stood in front of her closet, staring at her limited wardrobe. All black. She had black pants from her gas station job and a black button-up she wore to office cleaning. Not exactly high-end restaurant attire, but it would have to do. At 4:30 p.m., she drove to the restaurant. Her stomach was in knots. She'd spent the entire weekend researching Kim Taeyong and found nothing. No criminal record. No news articles. Just a successful businessman who owned several properties in Atlanta. Either he was very good at staying clean, or he was very good at hiding his tracks. Probably both. The restaurant, Wero, she learned it was called, was beautiful inside. Modern minimalist design with traditional Korean touches. Dark wood, clean lines, subtle lighting. The kind of place where entrees probably started at $50. Nia. A Korean woman in her 40s approached her, smiling warmly. I'm Manager Kim. No relation to the boss, different Kim. Let me show you around. Manager Kim was efficient and kind, showing her the layout, the computer system for reservations, the proper way to greet guests. The other staff were polite if a bit distant. Nia got the sense they knew she was different. Special. Connected to the boss in a way they weren't. Taeyong himself didn't appear until 7 p.m. He walked through the restaurant like he owned it, which he did, stopping to speak to tables in Korean, smiling at guests, playing the part of the gracious owner perfectly. He was in a navy suit tonight, and Nia hated that she noticed how well it fit him. When he reached the hostess stand where she was stationed, he spoke to her in English, his voice low enough that only she could hear. How's your first day? Fine, she said, keeping her voice professional. Manager Kim has been very helpful. Good. He glanced at the reservation book. Busy night. You'll do well here, Nia. You have a good face for customer service. Is that why you really hired me? She asked quietly. My face? His eyes met hers, and for a moment, she saw something flicker there. Amusement maybe. I hired you because you're smart enough to know when you're in over your head and practical enough to choose survival. Those are rare qualities. Before she could respond, a group of guests arrived, and he smoothly transitioned into owner mode, greeting them warmly in Korean before gesturing for her to seat them. The night flew by. It was busy but manageable, and the tips, which the staff shared, were significantly better than Chen's palace. By the time her shift ended at 11 p.m., Nia was exhausted but not unhappy. As she was getting ready to leave, Sang-hoon approached her. Boss wants to see you in his office before you go. Her stomach dropped. Did I do something wrong? No. He just wants to talk. The office was on the second floor, accessed by a private staircase. It was as minimalist as the rest of the restaurant, a large desk, leather chairs, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. And Taeyang, jacket off, sleeves rolled up, working on his laptop. He looked up when she entered. Sit. She sat, suddenly nervous. You did well tonight, he said, closing his laptop. Manager Kim said you picked things up quickly. Thank you. There's something else. He opened a desk drawer and pulled out a folder, sliding it across to her. James won't be bothering you anymore. Nia opened the folder. Inside were photos. James, being approached by two large Korean men. James, on his knees, hands up in surrender. James, face bloodied, signing what looked like a legal document. What did you do? She whispered. I had Sang-hoon and Young-ho explain to him that you're under my protection now. That any further contact with you would be considered a personal insult to me. And that personal insults to me tend to have permanent consequences. Taeyang's voice was calm, factual. They also had him sign a restraining order that my lawyer prepared. If he comes within 500 feet of you, he goes to jail. And if he goes to jail, he'll find that jail is a very dangerous place for people who've offended me. Nia stared at the photos, her hands shaking. Part of her was horrified. Part of her was relieved. And part of her, a part she didn't want to examine too closely, was grateful. You didn't have to do this, she said quietly. Yes, I did. Taeyang leaned back in his chair. You work for me now. That means you're under my protection. Anyone who threatens my people threatens me. His eyes met hers. James will never bother you again. You have my word. Nia looked up at him. This dangerous man who'd threatened to kill her 4 days ago. This criminal who ran an organization she didn't want to think too hard about. This man who just solved the problem that had haunted her for 8 months with swift, brutal efficiency. Thank you, she said, meaning it. You're welcome. He stood, signaling the meeting was over. Same time tomorrow. Don't be late. As she drove home that night, Nia realized something that should have terrified her but didn't. She felt safer than she had in months. 6 weeks later. Nia had quit her other 2 jobs. For the first time in years, she wasn't constantly exhausted. She could afford groceries without mental math. She'd enrolled in 2 classes instead of 1. Working at Wero had become her new normal. Manager Kim taught her Korean phrases and brought homemade kimchi. The servers included her in their gossip. Even Sang-hoon occasionally smiled at her, though his smiles were rare and slightly terrifying. And Taeyang. Taeyang was there most nights, usually in his office handling business she didn't ask about. But sometimes he'd come down to check on things. And sometimes, more often than was probably appropriate, he'd stop by the hostess stand. Have you eaten? He asked one particularly slow Tuesday. I'll grab something after my shift. Unacceptable. He gestured to Manager Kim, speaking rapid Korean. 5 minutes later, a full meal appeared, galbi, kimchi jjigae, banchan, rice. I can't eat all this, Nia protested. Try. He pulled up a chair. Tell me about your classes. So she did. She told him about her business management course, about the professor who talked too fast, about her group project partners who never pulled their weight. He listened, actually listened. Asked questions. Offered insights from his own business experience. You could do better than business management, he said thoughtfully. You have a mind for strategy. Have you considered an MBA eventually? Nia laughed. Do you know how much an MBA costs? I do. And I'm willing to pay for it. If you stay with my organization. She froze, chopsticks halfway to her mouth. What? Call it an investment. I'm always looking for intelligent people to run my businesses. The legitimate ones, he added with a slight smile. I'll pay for your education. In exchange, you work for me for 5 years after graduation. Fair. It was more than fair. It was life-changing. Why? She asked quietly. Why would you do that for me? Taeyong was silent for a moment, studying her. Because you remind me that not everyone in this world is corrupt. Because you work hard without complaint. Because you're... He paused. Because you're someone worth investing in. The way he said it made her chest tighten. That was the first time she noticed the shift. The way his eyes lingered just a bit too long. The way he smiled at her, a real smile, not his polite business smile. The way he found excuses to talk to her. And she noticed because she was doing the same thing. It was a Thursday night, 2 months after she'd started, when everything changed. Nia was leaving late, past midnight. The restaurant had finally closed after a massive private party. She was exhausted, ready to collapse into bed. She made it to the parking lot, then cursed. Her phone. She'd left it charging in the break room. She used her key to get back inside, navigating the dark restaurant by memory. The break room was at the back, past the kitchens, near the private offices. That's when she heard it. Shouting. In Korean. Coming from Taeyong's office. She should have left. Should have grabbed her phone and walked away. Instead, she moved closer. The office door was cracked open. Through the gap, she could see. Her breath caught. A man was tied to a chair in the middle of the office. His face was bloodied, swollen. Sang-hoon stood beside him, holding a wooden baseball bat. And Taeyong stood in front of the man, perfectly composed in his suit, speaking in Korean. His voice was cold. Clinical. I gave you 3 chances. You betrayed me 3 times. The bound man was crying, begging. Please, boss. Taeyong's expression didn't change. He said something else in Korean, then nodded to Sang-hoon. The bat came down. The crack of wood against bone. The man's scream. Nia gasped, too loud. Taeyong's head snapped toward the door. Their eyes met. For one frozen moment, neither moved. Then Nia ran. She fled through the dark restaurant, her heart hammering, her hands shaking so badly she could barely grip her keys. She burst into the parking lot, fumbling with her car door. Nia. She spun around. Taeyong stood 10 feet away, perfectly calm, hands in his pockets. Like she hadn't just. Get in your car, he said quietly. Follow me home. We need to talk. I can't. Now, Nia. Not a request. Her hands shook as she got in her car. She could leave. She could drive to the police station right now. She could. But she followed him. His penthouse was all glass and steel and expensive minimalism. The kind of place Nia had never imagined being inside. The city sprawled beneath them, a carpet of lights. Taeyong poured 2 glasses of whiskey, handed her one. She took it with shaking hands. You saw, he said simply. I saw. Her voice came out as a whisper. And now you're afraid of me. It wasn't a question, but she answered anyway. I don't know. He moved to the window, staring out at the city. For a long moment, he was silent. When he finally spoke, his voice was softer than she'd ever heard it. That man's name is Park Min-ho. He worked in my organization for 6 years. I trusted him. I gave him opportunities, money, respect. Taeyong took a sip of whiskey. 3 months ago, I discovered he was stealing. Not from me, from the employees' medical fund. Money that was supposed to pay for surgeries, treatments, medications. Nia's breath caught. I gave him a chance to return it. To make it right. He took more. Another sip. I gave him a second chance. He disappeared for 2 weeks with another $50,000. I found him. Gave him one final chance to do the right thing. And? Nia whispered. He laughed in my face. Said I was soft. Said the old me would have killed him already. Taeyong turned to face her, his eyes hard. 3 children didn't get their surgeries because of his greed. One of them, a little girl, lost her hearing permanently because we couldn't afford the treatment in time. He moved closer, and Nia forced herself not to back away. I gave him 3 chances, Nia. 3 more than he deserved. And tonight, Sang-hoon broke both his legs. Now he'll spend the next 5 years working off every penny he stole, and every single day, he'll remember why. You could have called the police, Nia said weakly. The police? Taeyong laughed, but there was no humor in it. The police would have investigated for 6 months, maybe made an arrest, maybe gotten him 2 years in minimum security. Meanwhile, that little girl is deaf for life, and the families he hurt get nothing. He set down his glass. I gave them justice. Real justice. The kind the law can't provide. Nia's hands were still shaking. This is what you do. This is who you are. Yes. No hesitation. No apology. I told you from the beginning, Nia. I am not a good man. I operate outside the law because the law doesn't work. It doesn't protect people like us. It protects people with money and power and lawyers. He stepped closer, his voice dropping. I hurt bad people so good people can be safe. That's the deal. And what if I can't handle that? Nia challenged. What if I can't accept what you are? Taeyong was quiet for a long moment, his eyes searching hers. Then you walk away. Right now. I'll have Daeyoung drive you home. You quit tomorrow. I'll give you 3 months severance. You never have to see me again. Her heart hammered. This was it. Her chance to leave. To go back to her normal, safe, struggling life. But if you stay, he continued, his voice rough, if you choose to stay knowing what I am, knowing what I do, then you're mine, Nia. Completely. And I will protect you with the same ruthlessness I use against my enemies. No one will ever hurt you. No one will ever make you afraid. I will burn down the world before I let anyone touch you. The words should have terrified her. Instead, they made her feel safer than she'd felt in years. I need time, she whispered. To think. You have until morning. He pulled out his phone, texted someone. Daeyoung will take you home. Think carefully, Nia. Because once you choose, there's no going back. Nia didn't sleep that night. She lay in her bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying what she'd seen. The bat. The blood. The cold efficiency of violence. And Taeyong's words, I hurt bad people so good people can be safe. Was that true? Or was it just justification for brutality? She thought about James. About the photos Taeyong had shown her, James on his knees, bloodied, terrified. She'd felt guilty about that at first. But she'd also felt relieved. James hadn't contacted her since. Hadn't threatened her. Hadn't made her afraid. Taeyong had done that. With violence. She thought about her mother, who'd worked herself to death because she couldn't afford medication. About a system that let people like James terrorize women with no consequences. About all the times the law had failed her. And she thought about the little girl who'd lost her hearing because someone stole her surgery money. When morning came, Nia knew her answer. She drove to Wero at 9 a.m. Taeyong was in his office, looking like he hadn't slept either. I'm staying, she said from the doorway. Something shifted in his expression, relief, maybe. Or possession. "You're sure?" he asked. "No." She stepped inside, closing the door. "I'm not sure about any of this. You scare me. What you do scares me. But you also make me feel protected in a way I've never felt before. Safe in a way the law never made me feel." She moved closer. "So yes, I'm staying. I'm choosing you. I'm choosing this." Taeyong stood, crossing to her in 3 strides. His hands cupped her face, his eyes intense. "You're mine now." "I'm yours," she confirmed. He kissed her then, deep, possessive, claiming. And Nia kissed him back, sealing her fate. 2 weeks later. Nia was at the grocery store when it happened. She was in the produce section, comparing apple prices. Old habits died hard, when a woman approached. "Excuse me," the woman said, smiling pleasantly. "You dropped this." She held out a piece of paper. Nia took it automatically, then looked down. Her blood went cold. It was a photograph. Of her and Taeyong. Kissing outside Wero. Time stamp from 3 days ago. She looked up sharply. The woman was Asian, mid-40s, professional attire. She didn't look threatening. She looked like a lawyer or a businesswoman. But her eyes were sharp. Calculating. "Who are you?" Nia demanded, her voice low. "Someone who knows what Kim Taeyong is." The woman's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Someone who knows you witnessed him order Sang-hoon to break Park Min-ho's legs 2 weeks ago. Someone who knows you're in way over your head." Nia's heart hammered. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't you?" The woman stepped closer, lowering her voice. "You're a smart woman, Miss Richardson. Smart enough to know that what you saw was just the tip of the iceberg. Smart enough to know that the man you're sleeping with is a criminal. And smart enough to know that eventually, being close to him will destroy you. Who are you?" Nia repeated. "Think of me as someone offering you a lifeboat before the ship sinks." The woman dropped a manila folder into Nia's shopping cart. "Read it. Think about what kind of man you're in love with. Then decide if you want to go down with him." She walked away, disappearing into the crowd before Nia could respond. Nia stood there, frozen, the photo in one hand, the folder in her cart. She should throw it away. Should tell Taeyong immediately. Instead, she hid it under her groceries and drove home. That night, while Taeyong was in a late meeting, Nia locked herself in the bathroom and opened the folder. Police reports. Surveillance photos. Witness statements. A man found dead in an alley 3 years ago, the same alley where Nia had witnessed the murder. Suspected gang execution. Case unsolved. Park Min-ho's medical records. Both legs broken in 7 places. He'd told police he fell downstairs. Police didn't believe him but had no proof. Photos of other men. Some dead. Some missing. All connected to Taeyong's organization. A list of suspected crimes: racketeering, money laundering, assault, murder for hire. And at the bottom, a business card. Detective Lisa Carter. Atlanta Police Department, Organized Crime Division. Nia's hands shook as she read through everything. Some of it she'd suspected. Some of it she'd rationalized. Some of it made her stomach turn. The man in the alley. She'd witnessed that. That was real. But murder for hire? How many people had Taeyong killed? She thought about his hands on her skin, whispering that she was his. Those same hands that had ordered deaths. That had held a gun. That had. The bathroom door handle jiggled. "Nia." Taeyong's voice. "You okay? You've been in there a while." She shoved everything back into the folder, her heart racing. Fine. Just, female stuff. Be out in a minute. She stashed the folder behind the towels, flushed the toilet for effect, and opened the door. Taeyong stood there, concerned. You sure you're okay? You look pale. Just cramping, she lied, forcing a smile. I'm fine. He pulled her close, pressing a kiss to her forehead. Come to bed. I'll rub your back. She let him lead her to the bedroom, let him hold her, let him think everything was normal. But she couldn't stop thinking about that folder. About Detective Carter. About the choice she might have to make. 1 month later. Nia had been living in Taeyong's penthouse for a month now, her toothbrush next to his, her books on his nightstand, her life completely intertwined with his. She'd hidden the folder. Hadn't contacted Detective Carter. Had tried to pretend that night in the grocery store never happened. But it haunted her. Every time Taeyong took a business call and left the room, she wondered who he was ordering hurt. Every time Sang-hoon appeared with blood on his knuckles, she wondered whose blood it was. Every time she kissed Taeyong, she wondered if she was kissing a murderer. She loved him. God help her, she loved him. But love didn't erase doubt. It was a Wednesday afternoon. Nia was walking across campus between classes when a black van pulled up beside her. The door slid open. 2 men jumped out, Asian, large, unfamiliar. Nia's scream was cut off as a hand clamped over her mouth. They grabbed her, shoving her into the van. The door slammed shut. She fought, kicking, biting, but there were 2 of them and they were strong. One of them zip-tied her wrists. The other blindfolded her. Stay quiet, one said in accented English. Or this gets worse. The van drove for maybe 20 minutes. When it stopped, they dragged her out. She heard warehouse sounds, echoes, metal, emptiness. They shoved her into a chair. Removed the blindfold. She was in a warehouse, not Taeyong's. This one was dirtier, older, smelling of mold and rust. A man sat across from her. Chinese, maybe 50, expensive suit, smoking a cigarette. 3 other men flanked him, all armed. You're Kim Taeyong's woman, the man said. Not a question. Nia's throat was dry. I don't know what you're. He slapped her. Hard. Her head snapped to the side, ears ringing, tasting blood. Don't lie to me. I've had people watching you for weeks. You live with him. Sleep with him. You're his. He leaned forward. Which makes you valuable. I don't know anything about his business. I don't want information. He took a drag of his cigarette. I want you to deliver a message. Tell your boyfriend that Buckhead belongs to me now. He has 1 week to withdraw his operations or I start killing his people. He smiled without warmth. Starting with you. He nodded to one of his men. The punch came fast, straight to her stomach. Nia doubled over, gasping, pain exploding through her abdomen. Another punch. This one to her face. She felt her lip split, blood hot on her chin. That's to show him I'm serious, the man said calmly. 1 week. Chen doesn't make empty threats. They threw a hood over her head, dragged her back to the van, and dumped her on a street corner in downtown Atlanta. Nia sat there on the concrete, shaking, bleeding, crying. People walked past, avoiding eye contact, just another problem to ignore. She pulled out her phone with trembling hands and called Taeyong. He answered on the first ring. Nia. Help, she sobbed. Please help me. He arrived in 7 minutes. The Audi screeched to a stop. Taeyong was out before it fully stopped, Sang-hoon right behind him. Taeyong knelt beside her, his face going white when he saw the blood. Who did this? Man named Chen, Nia managed through split lips. Said Buckhead is his now. Said you have 1 week. Sang-hoon, Taeyong barked. Get the car. Now. He lifted Nia like she weighed nothing, cradling her against his chest. His hands were gentle, but she could feel the rage vibrating through him. They drove to a private clinic, not a hospital. A Korean doctor who asked no questions examined her. Bruised ribs. Split lip. Black eye forming. But nothing broken. You're lucky, the doctor said in accented English. Lucky. Nia almost laughed. Taeyong stayed beside her the entire time, holding her hand, his jaw clenched so tight she thought his teeth might crack. When they finally got back to the penthouse, he settled her on the couch with ice packs and painkillers. Then he made a phone call. She couldn't understand most of it, he spoke in rapid Korean, but she caught words. Names. Chen. Tonight. Everyone. When he hung up, his eyes were flat. Empty. Terrifying. What are you going to do? Nia asked quietly. I'm going to make sure no one ever touches you again. He kissed her forehead, gentle despite the violence in his voice. Sang-hoon will stay with you. Don't leave the penthouse. I'll be back by morning. Taeyong. Trust me. He cupped her bruised face carefully. I will handle this. Then he left. Nia sat on the couch with Sang-hoon standing guard by the door, silent and imposing. She tried to sleep but couldn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt those men's hands on her. Felt the punch. Tasted blood. At 4 a.m., Taeyong returned. His suit was ruined, splattered with blood. His hands were clean, but she could see traces of red under his fingernails. His face was expressionless. It's done, was all he said. The next morning, the news reported it, 7 bodies found in a warehouse fire in East Atlanta. Police suspected gang violence. The deceased included Chen Wei and 6 of his associates. 7 people. Dead. Because of her. Nia stared at the TV, numb. Taeyong sat beside her, pulling her close. They'll never hurt you again. No one will. You killed 7 people, she whispered. I eliminated a threat. His voice was matter-of-fact. Chen declared war. I finished it. Quickly. Efficiently. Anyone who even thinks about touching you now knows exactly what will happen. He tilted her chin up, forcing her to look at him. I told you from the beginning, Nia. I protect what's mine. By any means necessary. You're mine. So yes, I killed 7 people. I'd kill 70 if it meant keeping you safe. The terrifying thing was, she believed him. And the even more terrifying thing was, part of her was grateful. 2 weeks later. They fell into a new normal. Nia's bruises healed. She went back to classes. Taeyong was more protective than ever, Sang-hoon or Dae-young drove her everywhere. She was never alone. She felt suffocated and cherished at the same time. One evening, Taeyong took her to dinner at an upscale restaurant in Midtown. Private corner table. Wine that probably cost more than her old monthly rent. You've been quiet lately, he observed, studying her. Just thinking. About? About the 7 bodies. About Detective Carter's folder. About the fact that she was in love with a man who killed people as casually as others ordered takeout. About us, she said instead. Taeyong set down his wine. Having second thoughts. No. And it was true. God help her, it was true. Just, adjusting. To what this life means. He was quiet for a moment, then reached across the table, taking her hand. I need to tell you something. About my mother. Nia waited. When I was 12, my mother tried to leave my father. His voice was low, meant only for her. He was a brutal man. Powerful in the Korean mob in Seoul. He beat her. Controlled her. Made her life hell. Nia's chest tightened. She finally got the courage to leave. Fled to Busan, changed her name, got a job as a seamstress. She thought she was free. His jaw clenched. My father found her in 3 days. What did he do? He didn't hurt her. He was too smart for that. Taeyong's eyes were distant, remembering. He hurt everyone she cared about instead. Her sister, my aunt, was beaten so badly she lost vision in one eye. My mother's best friend had her shop burned down. The woman who gave my mother a job. Her husband was killed in a random mugging. Oh God, Nia breathed. My father destroyed every single person who'd helped my mother escape. Systematically. Methodically. Until my mother had a choice, come back, or watch more people die because of her. His voice cracked slightly. She came back. Because that was the only way to make him stop. Taeyong. She lived another 15 years in that house. Smiling. Pretending everything was fine. Playing the dutiful wife. He looked up, and Nia saw old pain in his eyes. She died when I was 27. Heart attack, the doctor said. But I know the truth. She just gave up. She was so tired of pretending, so tired of being trapped, that her heart just stopped. Tears tracked down Nia's face. After she died, I took over my father's organization. I was young, but I was smart and I was angry. I rebuilt everything from the ground up. His hand tightened on hers. And I made one rule that would never be broken: we protect our own. We don't terrorize innocent people. We don't hurt families. We take care of the people who work for us. Is that why you paid for Park Min-ho's victims? The medical fund? Yes. Because no child should suffer because of someone else's greed. No mother should watch her child go without treatment. No one should feel as helpless as my mother felt. He brought her hand to his lips. When I see a man like Chin threatening you, when I see someone like James hurting you, I don't just see them. I see my father. And I will never, ever let someone like that win. Nia understood then. His brutality wasn't random. It was focused. Targeted. Born from a child who'd watched his mother suffer and swore no one he loved would suffer the same way. It didn't make it right. But it made it understandable. I love you, she said quietly. Even though you scare me sometimes. Even though what you do is wrong. I love you. I love you too, Taeyong replied. More than I've ever loved anything. You're the only good thing in my life, Nia. The only pure thing. And I will do whatever it takes to keep you. They finished dinner in comfortable silence. As they were leaving, Nia noticed a woman sitting at the bar. Asian, mid-40s, watching them. Detective Carter. Their eyes met. Carter gave her a small, sad shake of her head. A warning. Don't do this. It's not too late. Nia looked away, taking Taeyong's hand. Choosing him. Again. 1 week later. The proposal happened on a Friday night. Taeyong took her back to the same restaurant, their place now. Private table. The view of the city sparkling below. Halfway through dinner, he set down his fork. I have something to ask you. Nia's heart started racing. He pulled out a small velvet box, opened it. The ring inside was stunning, a flawless diamond that caught the light like captured stars. Marry me, Nia, he said simply. Be mine forever. Let me spend the rest of my life protecting you, loving you, giving you everything you deserve. She should have thought about it. Should have considered the implications. Should have remembered Detective Carter's warnings. Instead, she said, yes. God, yes. He slipped the ring onto her finger, then pulled her into a kiss that was promise and possession and love all wrapped together. From the bar, Detective Carter watched, her expression grim. She pulled out her phone, made a call. The clock was ticking now. 3 days later. Nia was pulled over on her way to class. Broken taillight, the officer said. She was taken to the police station. Held for 6 hours in an interrogation room. Finally, Detective Carter entered, flanked by 2 FBI agents. Miss Richardson, Carter said, sitting across from her. We need to talk. Am I under arrest? Nia demanded. Not yet. But you could be. Carter opened a folder, the same one from the grocery store, now thicker. Kim Taeyong is going down. We've been building a RICO case for 4 years. We have evidence. We have witnesses. We have everything we need except one thing. What's that? Testimony from someone on the inside. Someone he trusts. Someone he confides in. Carter leaned forward. Someone like you. I'm not testifying against him. Even if it means prison. Agent Morrison, one of the FBI agents, spoke up. You're living with him. Accepting gifts purchased with illegal funds. You're an accessory to racketeering at minimum. Money laundering possibly. When we take him down, you go down too. Unless you cooperate. I haven't done anything wrong. Haven't you? Carter slid photos across the table. Nia at the warehouse with Chen's men. Nia's bruised face. The news article about 7 bodies. You witnessed a gang kidnapping. You were present when Taeyong ordered a retaliatory hit. You didn't report it. That makes you an accessory to murder. Nia's blood went cold. But that's not even the worst part, Carter continued. She pulled out more photos. Nia's aunt. Her 2 teenage cousins. Her uncle. Your family, Carter said quietly. Came here from Jamaica when you were 5. Undocumented. You've kept that secret pretty well. No. No. Here's how this works, Carter said, her voice hard now. You wear a wire. You get Taeyong to talk about his operations. You testify. And in exchange, we give you immunity. Full witness protection if needed. And, she tapped the photos of Nia's family, we make sure ICE never hears about your aunt and cousins. You can't, Nia's voice broke. I absolutely can. And I will. Carter's eyes were cold. You have a choice, Miss Richardson. Your family's safety and freedom, or your boyfriend's. Choose carefully. Because if you don't cooperate, I make one phone call and your entire family is deported within 48 hours. Your aunt who raised you after your mother died. Gone. Your cousins who've never even been to Jamaica. Gone. All because you chose to protect a gangster. The room spun. Nia couldn't breathe. I need time. You have 24 hours, Carter said. After that, I make the call. They released her at 10 p.m. Nia sat in her car in the police station parking lot, shaking, crying, her world crumbling around her. Her family. Her aunt who'd taken her in when her mother died. Her cousins, just kids, 16 and 14, honor roll students with their whole lives ahead of them. Or Taeyong. The man she loved. The man who'd protected her, cherished her, given her everything. An impossible choice. She drove home, to the penthouse, to Taeyong, in a daze. He was waiting, worry etched on his face. Where were you? I tried calling. Pulled over. Broken taillight. The lie tasted like ash. They held me at the station for hours doing paperwork. He pulled her close. You're shaking. Come here. He held her while she cried, having no idea she was about to destroy him. That night, she made her decision. She called Detective Carter. I'll do it. They fitted her with the wire 2 days later. Tiny. Nearly invisible. Attached beneath her bra. Get him talking about his organization, Agent Morrison instructed. Business dealings. Crimes committed. Associates. The more specific, the better. What if he finds it? Nia asked, voice shaking. He won't. But if he does, we'll have units nearby. You'll be safe. She didn't believe them. For 5 days, she wore the wire. 5 days of Taeyong holding her, kissing her, making love to her, completely unaware she was recording everything. 5 days of trying to get him to talk about incriminating things. But every time she got close, every time she asked leading questions, she'd look at his face, at the man who loved her, who'd killed for her, who'd given her everything, and the words died in her throat. She couldn't do it. By day 5, she was falling apart. Not sleeping. Barely eating. Jumping at every sound. You okay? Taeyong asked one morning, studying her with concern. Fine. Just stressed about finals. He didn't look convinced, but he let it go. That afternoon, while he was at a meeting, Nia made a decision. She was going to tell him. About the wire, about Detective Carter, about the threat to her family. They'd figure this out together. Maybe they could run. Maybe they could. Her phone rang. Taeyong. Hey, I was just. Come to the warehouse. His voice was ice. Now. Alone. The line went dead. Nia's hands shook. He knew. Somehow, he knew. She drove to the warehouse in a fog of terror. This was it. This was how it ended. When she walked inside, his men were waiting. Young-ho grabbed her, zip-tied her wrists before she could react. Taeyong stood in the center, phone in hand. He played audio. Her voice. Detective Carter's voice. Their conversation from the police station. You've been under surveillance for 3 months, he said quietly. I've had people watching Carter, listening to her calls, tracking her movements. He stepped closer. Imagine my surprise when she met with my fiancé. Taeyong. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? His voice was terrifyingly calm. Did you think you could wear a wire into my home and I wouldn't notice? I couldn't do it, I didn't get you saying anything. But you tried. He was in front of her now. You wore the wire, Nia. You went to the police. You chose them over me. They threatened my family, she cried. My aunt, my cousins, they're going to be deported. Carter said she'd make one call and they'd be gone. What was I supposed to do? You were supposed to come to me. The roar came out of nowhere, all his control shattering. You were supposed to trust me. I could have moved your family. Hidden them. Given them new identities. I could have protected them. His hands fisted at his sides. But instead, you went behind my back. You wore a fucking wire. You recorded our most intimate moments thinking you could use them to put me in prison. I couldn't get anything, Nia sobbed. Every time I tried, I couldn't do it. I couldn't betray you. You already did. He pulled out his gun. The moment you said yes to Carter. The moment you let them put that wire on you. The moment you chose your family over me. They're all I have left. I was all you had. His voice echoed through the warehouse. I gave you everything. A home, money, protection, love, I gave you my heart, Nia. Something I've never given anyone. And you threw it in my face. He called Sang-hoon, spoke rapid Korean. Within minutes, more of his men arrived. Take her to the back, Taeyong ordered. Tie her to a chair. Taeyong, please. But they were already dragging her away. Present moment, the warehouse. Which brought them here. To this moment. Gun to her head. Police outside. The man she loved looking at her like she was a stranger. Taeyong's hand was steady on the gun. His finger resting on the trigger. Do it, Nia whispered, tears streaming. I deserve it. I betrayed you. I broke your trust. Just do it. Outside, the bullhorn, 1 minute. Send out the hostage. Taeyong stared at her, and for the first time, the mask cracked. She saw pain in his eyes. Raw, bleeding pain. You know why I can't, he said, voice breaking. Because despite everything, despite the betrayal and the lies and the wire, I still love you. And that's the worst part. That's what kills me. His hand trembled slightly. The first sign of weakness she'd ever seen from him. I should want you dead, he continued, voice ragged. I should feel nothing but rage. But all I feel is, he sucked in a breath. All I feel is loss. Like someone reached into my chest and ripped out everything that mattered. I'm sorry, Nia sobbed. I'm so sorry. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. They threatened everyone I love. I would have protected them. The anguish in his voice made her flinch. I would have protected all of you. That's what you don't understand, Nia. When you're mine, everyone you love becomes mine. Your family would have been safe because they're yours. But you didn't trust me. When it mattered most, you didn't trust me. I trust you now. It's too late. He lowered the gun slightly. It's too late for us. No, Nia strained against the zip ties. No, please, we can fix this. We can't. His voice went flat again, emotionless. Dead. You made your choice when you walked into that police station. You chose survival. You chose safety. You chose them. He looked at her, and his eyes were empty. I would have chosen you. Over everything. My freedom, my organization, my life. I would have chosen you. The words hit her like bullets. But you didn't choose me, he continued. So this is over. We're over. And I need you to understand something very clearly, when you walk out of this warehouse, we never happened. You don't exist to me anymore. If our paths ever cross again, I won't hesitate. I won't remember what we had. I will end you without a second thought. Do you understand? Don't do this, Nia begged. Please, I love you. Don't. The word was sharp as glass. Don't say that to me. Not now. Not ever again. You lost the right to say that when you put on that wire. Outside, 30 seconds. Taeyong looked at Sang-hoon. A silent conversation passed between them. Then he turned back to Nia. I'm letting you go. Not because you deserve it. Not because I forgive you. But because even now, even after everything, I can't be the man who kills you. His voice dropped to a whisper. I love you too much. And I hate myself for it. He nodded to Young Ho, who cut her zip ties. Nia's hands were free, but she couldn't move. Couldn't process what was happening. When you walk out that door, Taeyong said, this ends. All of it. You go back to your life. I disappear from yours. And if you're smart, you'll take the witness protection, change your name, and spend the rest of your life forgetting I existed. I could never forget you. Try. He stepped back, creating distance. Physical and emotional. Because I'm going to forget you. I'm going to erase every memory. Every touch. Every moment. I'm going to burn it all down until there's nothing left. You don't mean that. I do. And the certainty in his voice broke her. Sang-hoon. Let her go. Sang-hoon opened the warehouse door. Police immediately swarmed. Guns drawn. shouting commands. They pulled Nia out, surrounding her protectively, wrapping her in a blanket. Detective Carter was there, relief on her face. "You're safe. You're okay. You did the right thing." But Nia wasn't listening. She was staring back at the warehouse, watching SWAT pour inside. Watching Taeyong and his men slip out a back exit she hadn't known existed. Gone. Vanished like smoke. And Nia realized with crushing finality, she'd lost him. She'd survived. She'd saved her family. She'd done the right thing. But it felt like death. 3 months later. The apartment was smaller than her old one. Cheaper. In a different part of Atlanta. Witness protection had relocated her. New name. New life. New identity. Her aunt and cousins were safe, Carter had kept her word. They had temporary protected status while their cases were reviewed. They'd probably get to stay. The RICO case had fallen apart. Without solid testimony, Nia had recorded nothing incriminating, had frozen every time, they hadn't had enough evidence. Taeyong's lawyers were too good. His operations too carefully insulated. He'd walked away free. She'd walked away alive. Somehow, neither felt like winning. Nia sat on her second-hand couch, staring at the engagement ring she'd never returned. She should have turned it in as evidence. Should have sold it. Should have thrown it in the river. Instead, it lived in a box on her nightstand. A reminder of everything she'd lost. Her phone rang, a new number, one only her family knew. Unknown caller. She almost didn't answer. But something made her pick up. Silence on the other end. Just breathing. Then, "I hope you got what you wanted, Nia." Her heart stopped. "Taeyong. Don't." His voice was ice. "I'm calling to tell you I meant what I said. Stay out of my life. Don't try to contact me. Don't try to explain. It's over. Please, just listen. I don't want to hear it." But his voice cracked. "Just slightly. Just enough. I don't care that you're sorry. I don't care that you had reasons. I care that when it mattered, you didn't trust me. You let fear win." "I was wrong," Nia whispered, tears streaming. "I know I was wrong. I should have come to you. I should have trusted you. I love you." "Love." He laughed bitterly. "Love isn't enough. Love doesn't fix betrayal. Love doesn't undo what you did." He was quiet for a long moment. "Do you know what the worst part is? Even now, even knowing what you did, I still," he cut himself off. "It doesn't matter. We're done." "Are we?" Nia challenged, finding some spark of fight. "Because if we're done, why are you calling? Why are you checking on me?" Silence. "You can't let go either," she continued. "You're as trapped as I am. You said you'd forget me. Erase every memory. But you can't, can you?" "No." The admission seemed to cost him. "I can't. And I hate you for it. I hate that you're the one thing I can't let go of. The one weakness I can't eliminate." "Then don't let go," Nia said desperately. "Come back. We can figure this out." "There's nothing to figure out." His voice went cold again. "You made your choice. Now live with it. Have a good life, Nia. Goodbye." "Wait." The line went dead. Nia sat there, phone pressed to her ear, listening to silence. He was gone. Really gone this time. She looked around at her new apartment. Her new life. Safe. Legal. Lonely. She'd saved her family. She'd kept them from deportation. She'd done what any good person would do. So why did it feel like she'd made the worst mistake of her life? She pulled out the ring, slipping it onto her finger one last time. It caught the light, beautiful and cold. A promise broken. A future destroyed. A love that couldn't survive reality. Some choices, she realized, don't have right answers. Just consequences you have to live with. She'd chosen survival. And it felt like dying. 6 months later. Nia was at a coffee shop near her new apartment when she saw him. Just a glimpse. Through the window. Walking past on the street. Taeyang. Her heart stopped. Without thinking, she ran outside. Taeyang. He stopped. Turned slowly. For one moment, one breathless, impossible moment, their eyes met. She saw it. The flash of recognition. Of pain. Of something that might have been longing. Then his expression went blank. Empty. He looked at her like she was a stranger. Like she was nothing. And without a word, he turned and walked away. Nia stood there on the sidewalk, watching him disappear into the crowd. He'd meant it. Every word. She was dead to him. And this time, she didn't chase him. Didn't call out. Didn't beg. She just watched him go, one hand unconsciously touching the ring she still wore on a chain around her neck, hidden under her shirt. A secret. A scar. A reminder. Some loves don't get happy endings. Some choices can't be undone. Some people, once lost, are lost forever. Nia turned and walked back into the coffee shop, back to her small life, back to her survival. And tried to convince herself it was enough. The end. Was Nia wrong? Or was she just human? Drop your answer in the comments, I need to know where you stand. If this story broke your heart, hit that like button. Subscribe for more Afro-Korean stories, Korean Mafia romance, and love stories that don't always end happy but always feel real. Drop a heart if you stayed till the end. See you in the next video.